Hello and welcome down the slope. I'm Ewan, and we have 3 out of 4 again, like we did last week. We've substituted Harry out for Greg. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well. Would you just like to say, get a venti mocha at Starbucks? Liam's a dick. But good night.
See, hot chocolate with some coffee in it.
Listen, don't you start judging me for my preferences, mate. You can ask a question that isn't days long, then I'll accept your feedback.
How you doing, Liam?
I'm doing well, doing well. Fucking forgot what a difference it makes. Hibs winning, how you feel in your spirits. It's been a while. We'll come on and talk about that game, I'm sure. That's the purpose of us being here. But good.
Have you thawed out since your trip up to Arbroath yesterday?
It's been that cold. It was windy and wet. No, windy and wet. It wasn't that cold. I made a very adult decision on more boots yesterday. To deal with the conditions I have in the past being in terraces where it becomes so wet that your feet are basically standing in a puddle.
Cowed and beef away.
Going home with frostbite, it's not a good look for anyone. So boots and a nice pair of Nordic socks on yesterday, so my feet were toasty. Thank you.
I think in the first half, a couple of players could have been questioning their footwear choices, Cadden in particular. Right, Liam, take us away. Arbroath, look, it was always going to be a tricky game. Will we get all the cliches out? Windy, close to the sea, cold, bad pitch. But look, Arbroath started fast and got a goal early on. What did you make it?
What did I make it? I made that we ultimately succumbed to what we thought Arbroath would do to us and put balls in the box and make life difficult for us and be quite direct, and that's pretty much what happened from the goal. I'm yet to see it back, but judging based on what people have said, I think it sounds like Doig gets caught underneath it maybe a wee bit, trying to kind of cover across, and Craig Whiting kind of, I suppose, makes the most of really quite a fortuitous situation. Really, the ball landed up on his lap, so to speak, and tucks it away. Maybe a suspicion of handball, but I'll defer to you guys on that one.
Greg, I didn't notice any handball potential.
I just noticed the game. Dreadful defending. Pretty standard for this season.
Do you think? And I thought Doig had a decent game, but do you think that's just potentially unfamiliarity with the position in terms of that free at the left side of free?
No, because he's a defender, so he should be defending. I think he's been unfortunate. I think it's bounced off someone's back and fell to white. I think we should still be dealing with that better.
Yeah.
The ball shouldn't be coming in for a start. But look, we always knew that Arbroath were going to start quickly. They did. They caught us straight away, but I think the response to the goal was exactly what we've been looking for weeks.
Yeah, we sort of skipped right into the game. Was there any surprises in the team sheet for either of you? It was pretty much the 11 that played the majority of the game at Ibrox, just in that sort of 3-4-3 as opposed to 4-2-3-1 that we'd played on the Wednesday night.
No surprises for me. Like, I was pretty happy, other than the goalie. But
do you think that's our strongest 11 right now?
No, Macy's not our best goalkeeper.
Fair, Liam.
I think based off a relatively small sample size, I know there's plenty who disagree. I think Dabrowski's only played 2 games, but he's been better in those 2 games for me than Macy has across the course of the season. But I know there's a lot of people who don't share that opinion. Football's a game of opinions. I think the 2 games Macy's played has done really well. I think maybe the only surprise, if you want to call it a surprise, turned out to be a very good decision, was Stevenson continuing in centre midfield. I could see why he was deployed there against Rangers, but in some respects, although he played very well there against Rangers, it was quite surprising in a cup tie against Arbroath for him still to be named there. I think obviously shows just how much faith Maloney has in him, and he was right to do so, as it turns out.
Yeah, I would probably go as far as say that maybe it was a toss up between him and Ewan Henderson for man of the match for me. I thought the first half especially, I thought Stevenson was fantastic. We did touch on it after Ibrox. Could he potentially be? I know you don't like you do. You want to be shoehorning players in and stuff, but is he probably the best option we have in there as part of
Stevenson?
Late in terms of his ability on the ball.
I don't even think you're shoehorning him into that position. To be honest, he looks very natural there. I mean, you just need to be honest. I know come on the goals, but we just need to look at the passes made for the first goal, the equaliser. You know. Perfect. You know, he's put the ball in the correct areas. He gets on the ball. He doesn't dither. You know, he gets the ball on the feet and he moves it. So I don't think you're shoehorning him into that position. I think if anything, he probably looks one of the most natural players in there, rather than possibly Joe Newell or Jude Delhaize.
Yeah, Liam, if you were to say if right now, if everyone was fit for the rest of the season, would you be looking at Stevenson plus one more as your two central midfielders, or do you think longer term you would look to avoid using them there? If everyone was available, obviously.
It's really hard to say longer term. You wouldn't start him based on the last two
Yeah.
performances. Right now, if he plays like that every game, he's undroppable. Like, because he was very, very good on Sunday. He was good at Ibrox. The thing with Stevenson is maybe, you know, we've kind of called out some of his disadvantages of playing him in that kind of left wing back position because he's got so much pitch in front of him to run into.
Yeah.
It's not the same when you're playing holding midfield. You don't have that kind of space and pitch to run into. Actually, a lot of it's what you do in the kind of 10-yard circle that exists around you. And actually, Lewis Stevenson's strength for me is in that contact, in that 10 yards around him. He'll go in, he'll win 50-50s, he'll break it up, he'll play a simple pass.
Yeah.
That's his game. So in some ways, it's kind of weird that nobody stumbled on it before, because ultimately we're in this position of playing him there out of necessity, whether you want to call it that or not. It is out of necessity because we've no other options in there that we want to play. And we stumbled across it, and it's like, fuck, is that what we've just been missing for the last however many weeks? It almost sounds too reactionary to say it off the back of a defeat to Rangers against Arbroath, but he has just been that good the last couple of games.
Yeah, it has been really, really good. Liam, my question...
just before you move on, I would also like to point out that Liam was very correct to dig me out last week. After my comments on Stevenson, they came from a place of anger, and I would like to apologise to him. Look, I think you can look at the sample size against Arbroath, but do you know what? You still need to go there and win the game, and I think that Stevenson proved that he can definitely handle it. I think he does like a tackle, he does like to get involved. So I think for me, the midfield is probably the perfect place for him.
Yeah.
And he is a leader, let's be honest.
He's one of the better passers of the ball at the club. Like, I don't think that's probably ever been in doubt.
So, sometimes he looks awkward playing the pass because he's just got wee legs. Maybe he can't get enough power, but I feel like sometimes he just does try and really emphasise a pass. But to be honest, I mean, I think it was maybe 10 minutes into the game, I'd already seen him chatting away and pointing and directing. So I think having that leader in the middle of the park does help you, because I think that Doyle Hayes had a good game yesterday. I think it was partly because he was playing beside Stevenson, who's experienced and also a very good football player.
Yeah,
we've had this conversation before on here about captaincy and vice captaincy and leaders, etc. One thing I've always subscribed to and believed is you get two types of leaders: people who lead by their words and people who lead by their actions. And see, for me, Lewis Stevenson playing in the centre of the pitch, he's not the most vocal player in the world. You do see him point, you do see him give instructions, but he leads by what he does on the pitch. So by him being in there and giving 100% every single game, him not shirking any 50-50s, by him being that presence in there, it gives a demonstration to the players, who, particularly the ones who are behind him, as in the defenders who are looking at him, see, this is how you should play football. The other advantage it gives us being in midfield is it means that for long balls and what have you, he's less of a target in the past. You know, the Livingston game, for example, he's pulled play on him every single time. That becomes less of an issue when you're playing holding midfield. There's less some of those balls, but when the ball's on the ground situation, he's perfect.
Yeah, I think as well, it does give you that element of flexibility as well. You know, you seen yesterday, Mitchell got the knock, and it meant instead of, you know, like you're looking at the bench, there's maybe not an obvious left line back there, but you've got Stevenson on the pitch, you can shuffle over, move up Campbell on. You could probably do the same if a centre back got injured, you know, like, so I'm not saying you should be playing players just because they can play in multiple positions, but if you've got someone that is good enough to play and can cover in positions, you can potentially save yourself a substitute as well, or two, you know, like if you, it's what sometimes one player will get, you need to bring two to really shuffle about. Look, let's get...
Just on that, I think you could probably class him as vocal as well. You always see him, he's always, you know, talking to the ref, most times nipping away. But I think if you look at the goals Hibs have conceded in the past over a large period of time, he is the one that is very vocal. He's the one that is having a go at players and is shouting at them. So I think that he is a vocal player, but he also does lead by example when he's going into tackles and he's winning his tackles. You'll always find that Stevenson will always win his battles. I think there's only really one player, Gary Mackay-Steven, that's probably got the better of him.
Never consistently got the better of him over the years, yeah.
And do you know what? Fair enough, but 9 times out of 10, he will not lose his battle. And in the midfield, that is crucial, especially for us at the moment, where we're kind of struggling in that area.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my last point.
That's all right, mate. Right, back to the game. I thought from the Arbroath goal we were pretty good throughout the rest of the first half. couple of chances came and went before the goal. Liam, we did speak last week about Mitchell playing as part of that front three. Does the goal prove he can? Sorry, he was playing at left wing back. Sorry, but does the goal show that we do have the players there to potentially see this 3-4-3 working? Because we know ultimately we're going to get crosses in the box and just players in there.
The risk of contradicting Harry, I think there, I think there is the potential that 3-4-3 could work. I'm not too hung up on the kind of formation. I get Harry's wider point about systems, but I think the formation is a great talking point for us. I'm not sure it's always necessarily as important when it comes to how things play out in the pitch. It's ultimately players taking responsibility and doing their jobs. Nisbet Mitchell, I think, does provide that flexibility. I think we said that when we signed him. A guy can play left wing back, left back, left attacking midfield, and probably right side attacking midfield. That's great, and he's got the speed, I think, in a one-on-one situation to be able to go down the outside of people on the left. Probably not as convinced about him coming in from the right, if I'm being honest, but on that left foot, I think he looks like a real asset for us. So yes, I think is the answer to that question.
Yeah, I think, Greg, we have seen all season that we. Was it who did we play at home last? Sorry, the St Mirren. Was it the St Mirren with 38 crosses in the box, and obviously we scored from one. Yesterday we've got our left back playing centre midfield at the edge of the box, clipping it over to the back post to our left wing back. I guess it does go on what Liam's saying. The systems become irrelevant when you've got players that are determined to get themselves in there, and that's really what we need to see.
He's got desire to get himself up the pitch. I think for me, Mitchell's not a left back or a left wing back. I think he's too eager to get forward and stay forward at times. I mean, the vision from Stevenson to pick him out is a perfect ball, and he's done everything right. He's headed it into the ground, it's gone in. But I think you'll always find that Mitchell is always looking to get forward and always looking to get in the box and get on the end of things.
Is he with 2 goals? Is he like our 5th top goal scorer this season or something?
Probably. I'm surprised he's not already been given the golden boot, to be honest. But no, I think that when you've got a player like that is always willing to get forward and has always got that desire to go make things happen, that eases the pressure on other players. Because you've got players that are willing to take responsibility and go make things happen, which is crucial because ultimately you're a team and another cliche, all parts of the machine need to be working, and if they're not working, then you don't get the result you want. But also, just a special shout out to Sylvester Jasper.
Yeah, I was just about to come on that. Yeah,
very, very, very difficult pitch for us, flicks and tricks. But to be honest, I thought he was good as well. He seems very direct. Yeah. He wants to take the ball kind of for that deep area and drive forward. I think at times his decision making, but to be honest, he's still getting adapted. I think that we've heard this word a lot recently, is adapt and sort of mould players into the way of Scottish football. But I think that he is taking it on very quickly, and I think he's a very exciting player. He's definitely someone that will get the fans off their seats and look at his decision making. Could have been better yesterday, but I think overall it's a very positive start for him, and it's promising signs for me, to be honest.
Yeah, Liam, I know we are trying to avoid talking about shape, but there's 2 questions maybe here. I just would be interested to get your thoughts on it. What did you make of the balance on the left side with Doig, Mitchell and Jasper all on that side? All 3 players that you'd probably say strengths are probably going forward, and Doy's obviously even operating as a left centre half, but then also the front 3 with you and Henderson thrown in there with Nisbet and Jasper.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think Josh Doig's had maybe a wee bit of a renaissance under Sean Maloney in that left wing back position. I think he's played some of his best football there this season, so maybe a wee bit surprised to see him playing left centre back. But then you mentioned kind of long term earlier, and I do think that it's probably a strong chance his long-term position will be as a left-sided centre-back just because of his height and his physicality. And I think if I'm being honest, he doesn't always look to me to be the most comfortable with the ball at his feet for a wing-back or a full-back. And actually, there's an expectation now when young guys coming through to be really good at that side of the game in that position. So I think it gives us an element of balance, but it also, I think it gives us, there's definitely situations in which we've got a bit of an overload on down the left-hand side. I don't think we maybe fully kind of utilised it yesterday, but maybe we'll see more of that against Ross County with the system that they play will allow us to kind of push more emphasis down that left-hand side of the pitch. and attack more wide, but also attack more wide with a view to getting back inside, rather than just everything being wide and then a ball straight into the box.
The reason I highlighted that left side, Greg, I think we spoke at length whether it was Martin Boyle, whether it's Chris Cadden. We were very right side dominant. And look, we could sit and we can talk about Chris Cadden again if you want, but it was his usual self. Look, when you know what you get for Cadden, an engine non-stop all game. Probably I was unlucky. He probably should have scored 2, to be honest. Probably 1 in each half, but another really good performance there. But it should, in theory, make his life easier as well if we get that balance on the left-hand side easier. Right, sorry.
I'm going to start calling him cross Cadden, because that's what he does. He just gets to the line and whips the balls in, and I do think he's had to carry a lot of the responsibility. Even when Boyle was there, he was still having to try and get down the right and make things happen. But I think with Stevenson playing at play allows Doig to go forward that wee bit more. But I think he's good. I think he's good going forward with the ball. Defensively, I'm not so sure about him. But certainly going forward with the ball, he is good, and he does like to be direct and get balls in the box. So I think that left side is very fluid. I think you can probably have Mitchell going forward, Jasper going forward, even Doig as well for deep. So I think we have got quite an unpredictable left side now, whereas before it was very, very one-dimensional, very predictable.
Murphy cuts inside and Doig goes on overlap.
Murphy, man, honestly, I didn't even start on that joker. But no, I do think we're looking exciting. If I'm honest, I think Jasper can obviously cut on the right. Dimitri Mitchell can go down the outside and maybe be that wee bit more direct, and Josh Doig can do the same. So I think we've now got a good balance, I would say. And maybe need to compensate that with another player on the right, but I think you can play Mueller there, to be honest.
Right.
But I certainly think the right centre midfield position is definitely up for grabs, because nobody's really nailed that, to be honest.
Yeah. Right, Liam, second half. Obviously in the first, we did have a couple of chances. Nisbet was probably shite with his first attempt, then unlucky with his second attempt in the first half. But like with the sort of, he's tried to place it and then he's tried to dink the keeper just after the goal, I think, at 1-1. But second half, I felt like Arbroath again started fast. Probably was always going to happen. Macy made a couple of good saves. What was your thoughts on them?
He made one just on the stroke of half time as well, I think, where I can't remember if it was Rocky let the ball go over the top of his head and then Macy kind of ran out and smothered it and got I think it was him that got a touch. Look, he I've been very critical of Matt Macy, and I think to give some balance to the conversation, as I've tried to do the last couple of weeks, I think the saves he makes are very good in terms of the context of the game at that point in time. They're important saves. Ultimately, what he's done is he's rushed down and closed down the angle for 2 or 3 of the saves. That's good, and he should be applauded for that. But they're saves that he should be making. Like,
would we say that it's probably what Macy has been good at in terms, like when he has been good, his strength has been one-on-one save. And I think at the start of the season when Hibs were playing well, the defence wasn't still great, and he was probably making these saves more regularly.
He was.
And if he continues to make these saves, it gives us a platform to win games. And I guess you guys...
It helps you play a higher line as well. It helps you play a higher line. It's a pivotal part of the team as a goalkeeper who can come out and do the basic stuff like that. And I'm not trying to take away from saves, because they're good and they're important saves at that stage of the game. And I do think one-on-ones are a strength. I think if you think back to Edinburgh Derby, I think at least one, if not 2 of them, were kind of direct one-on-ones, which he made himself big. And I'm not taking points off him for him being big, because I heard a boy say he should be making these saves anyway, 6'7". I'm like, you can't give him credit for one thing and then take away for something else. So it's a good save, and they were pivotal at that stage of the game. And then I think, really, to be honest, it was a sort of 5-10 minute storm where they had us under the cosh a wee bit. And I can't remember if it was the Mitchell chance at the back post that kind of broke the spell of them having chances.
It was. And in fact, actually, just something that we didn't touch on just in the first half, right before our equaliser. Arbroath's, Liam, I don't even know if you would even realise what happened at the game.
No idea.
That offside that wasn't offside, Greg, Macy and Porteous between them just about managed to deal with it. What would your thoughts have been had they scored there?
Josh Doig would get absolutely slaughtered. I genuinely hate that. And the other thing that really infuriates me is when folk rub with a hand in there. just deal with the danger. And if it's offside, it's offside. And if no, then you've dealt with the danger.
Did the linesman have his flag up though? I think the linesman had his flag up.
Do you know what, right? The one thing you never ever do is turn your back, and everyone turned their back and thought it was offside. Now, from the TV angle, I didn't know if it was offside or not at that point. But you've turned your back on the play. Just deal with the danger. There was one time I think there was a couple of times in the first half where the balls come over and 3 of them are standing with their hands up. And how stupid do you look if you lose a goal for that?
Anyway, didn't want to cut. I just wanted to highlight that. Second goal.
Just on Macy. I would probably go one further and say that they're the sort of saves that yes, you should be making, but they're so crucial. They're match-winning saves. Let's be honest. He's had to dig Rocky out, who I thought was shaky, to be honest, at best. But he's had to dig him out, and I guess you kind of expect Arbroath to come in the second half and start fast. Put us under pressure, but I thought we dealt with it very well.
Yeah.
And the second goal is just a thing of beauty on a
class,
terrible surface.
From Henderson and Nisbet, it's class.
The vision, he's literally put it to within millimetres of his foot. Henderson on the first touch is incredible, and it just sets him so nicely to score. It honestly is poetry in motion. And do you know what? I thought Henderson was very good yesterday. I think he gives you that drive from midfield. I said it after Livy. I thought they came on at half time and gave us was it St Mirren? St Mirren maybe. He came on and gave us a lot of drive, and that's what he does. And do you know what? I don't know where he was playing, but he popped up on the right, the left.
I think he had that sort of right of the front three, didn't he?
I mean, the ball in, it's just centimetre perfect. It really is. And the first touch from Nisbet, man, honestly.
I thought Henderson's set piece delivery was really good yesterday as well. I know we didn't score from one, but it felt like they were the sort of balls that you could score from. I'm sure you know what I mean from that. I think even at Arbroath, he was prone
in the areas where it allows players to attack. I thought that the ball in the touch was wow, and that's exactly what Nisbet needed.
Yeah,
but the goal itself. I mean, I don't think he would have been bothered how it was scored, but the goal itself is.
Yeah,
it's genuinely right up there with one of the best goals in this round of fixtures, I would say, from what I've seen.
It's interesting, Liam, I don't know if you'll have heard the interview, but after the game, Nisbet said that maybe after he sort of the double save the keeper made in the first half, the one that was maybe just right, he had one goal ruled out for offside, rightfully so, one that was just offside. I think it was tight. I think maybe anyway. He says he felt like it was maybe not going to be his day again, and he referenced that in itself just gave him massive confidence for the rest of the game. And we were speaking about him last week after both games actually, feeling like he's been playing pretty well after the break.
Yeah,
it's time he starts scoring goals again.
Totally, and I think I can't remember if it was you or Harry that said, but that goal for me yesterday was really reminiscent of the kind of goals I was watching Kevin Nisbet score on my laptop last season.
Yeah,
there were so many times this season where I've just wanted him to be that guy that I was watching in my bedroom on my laptop last season, and he did it against Arbroath because he literally the first touch and the finish is just a total number ninesmanship. That is we folk talk about fucking 8.
Knowing where the posts are and
staying between the centre of the goal, taking the touch takes outside the centre of the goal, you put it right back across the goalkeeper. It's textbook, but there is something so beautiful about textbook when textbook works, and that for me.
So it clips underside of the bar as well. It's
I fucking give me a goal like that. See folk that love like goals that are 800 passes sideways and they're ball through. They're fine. But see, give me a goal like that where the number 9 is in the place where you want the number 9 to be. He gets a good ball in and he takes a great first touch and he scores all day. Thank you.
Actually, it's quite different, but it reminded me of Johan Elmander's goal against Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
When he's in the box, he's been very neat and tidy and he's managed to get at the far post. I thought that.
Yeah, I can see that, I guess.
See when you're defending it's shite to watch the ball going there.
That was it.
The roof of the net. But see when you score one on the roof of the net, it's just beautiful, really, really beautiful.
That's it, because when on the replay I sort of watched it back as well and wonder what the defender was like. Boy was up his chuff, I don't think the defender really could have done anything to stop that. Do you think?
Well, I mean, he could have been a yard closer to him, I think, but you can't really take it away for the finish.
Do you think? Now we spoke about Nisbet a lot this season saying he's better when Doige plays, he's better this, he's better that. Does he just need players around him that are busy and can give him chances? Just give him enough chances and he will score goals. Yesterday he had Jasper and Henderson around him. He had Cadden and Mitchell wide. He had Nisbet, who was really Stevenson, who was getting the ball into him well quickly. He's a striker that thrives off service, isn't he?
I don't think he really needs one specific player. I think what we've seen yesterday was we've seen a collective getting balls in the right areas from attack. You don't need a second striker when you do that. You just need players around them in the midfield and out wide and wing backs or whatever to put balls in the right area, and he will attack it. It's pretty simple stuff, to be honest. I don't think he needs Doige there. I think that when we can get the ball wide or get the ball into dangerous areas for him in the box, and not having him come as deep as he has to get the ball and start plays, I think that's when you see him at his most clinical and his most dangerous.
Aye, Liam, third goal. Chris Mueller finally gets his first Hibs goal. Been here about a month now. Scrappy. In the 6 months that Chris Mueller had signed and hadn't played for Hibs, I don't think I imagined his first goal being like that somehow.
No, I didn't either, but I think the circumstances kind of quite fitting because he talked a lot about he moved about European football culture being really important to him, and he wanted to experience what football's like in a country where people live and breathe it. And could you get a more live and breathe it moment than Arbroath away on a Sunday in the fucking piss and rain at 12:30 in the Scottish Cup? Like that for me, that's European football culture. Scottish football culture, really, but it's European football culture. It's proper backs to the wall, difficult conditions. And I think there's a part of me that thinks he probably would have loved that yesterday. Like 4,000 in this really tight-knit, old-fashioned ground. Americans are always fucking impressed by things that are old and gay feels old. So, I just thought the whole thing was just kind of quite fit and perfect. My only one criticism of Mueller yesterday is he should have two, because that one at the end's a glorious chance.
I think Stevenson should be giving him a better pass as well. I think he should score, but Stevenson's... That's if he gives him a better pass and he scores, Stevenson gets man of the match for me.
Can I ask what was Mueller's celebration? What was that?
He pointed to his
owl.
I don't. Well, it was as if he pointed to his wrist where a watch.
I was wondering if it was the owl.
So I'm assuming it was maybe aye.
Because he was stroking the owl as well, I think. So I would say it was probably the owl, to be fair.
Right. I'm all right we need to find it.
To be honest, though, I think that see a goal like that, that's him in the right area, anticipating the centre half making an arse of it. I think it's what you want from him. It sounds so cliche, but he's in the right position and he scores. It's not difficult. It's pretty simple stuff. But look, shite pitch, horrendous conditions. First goal for Hibs. I don't think he'll be complaining too much.
Yeah. Liam, Sean Maloney was massively criticised against St Mirren for saying we should have scored 5 or 6 goals. If he'd come out and said that yesterday, would you have had any complaints with that?
Nah. I think 5 or 6 would have been fair. I think he added up the 2 Cadden chances, the 2 Mueller chances, the 2 that Nisbet had ruled for offside, the Mitchell chance at the back post. We created a lot. I mean, folk will go, we're only playing part-time Arbroath, but you still have to create a number of chances against a team who's defensively been solid this season. They're not used to conceding goals at the level below.
First time we lost at home since first game of the season.
Nice. Things that add up. And then you fucking throw on top of that the conditions that we're playing in yesterday, and it wasn't easy. We created a number of chances. I don't think the XG geeks look at the Scottish Cup, but I'd be interested to know what our XG was yesterday, because I would imagine it'd be pretty high given the quality of chances. Shout out to Chris Cadden as well for 94th minute, absolutely bombing up the right hand side when we're 3-1 up to try and get on the end of the ball. That was a chance as well. That one. Unbelievable, eh? I know we've already talked about Chris Cadden, but just because you say that now, remind me of that boy's engine. It's absolutely crazy, incredible. I don't know what he feeds himself, but it's he can't just not stop.
He seems like one of those people that is just naturally fit, and he could.
I want to say this as well.
Be out for weeks and just come back.
He'll come back and be well, this is it. He's not exactly had these injury troubles to seek either in his time at Hibs. In the first 6 months, was it 2 injuries he got last season? And he's for me, right? Yeah, he's already a fan's favourite, but we talk about he gets it. I think he gets it. When Hibs scored, he fucking goes mental. Like all the basic stuff. I think he done an interview in the summer at the start of this season talking about
on High B Buzz.
Desperate he was to play at Easter Road in front of a crowd and all that. And like, I think he appreciates where he's at. And I think Hibs fans ultimately, if you had 11 players every week like Chris Cadden and Lewis Stevenson, that are they the most amazing football players in the world? No, but they have a good amount of talent, but they fucking try even harder than the talent that they have. And I think that's all we really ask for.
There is one boy that sits near me in the East who gives him pelters every week, and I'm just about to lose my tether with him because he every single week he berates him for his final ball. Like, it's no good enough, Cadden, just shouts, screams all game. Look, if Chris Cadden had a final ball, he'd be nowhere near Hibs. If his final ball was perfect, he wouldn't be playing for Hibs.
The thing for me, until the last couple of games, I feel like he should have hit more shots. I think that would be probably all agree with that. But then I would offset that with Ibrox. He probably should have squared it back. And in the first half yesterday, he probably should have squared it. But I personally would rather see my winger, my wing-back, my striker, whoever it is, back themselves to shoot one-on-one than pass. If you pass, then fine if it works. But if you hit a shot, it can come off the keeper, it can do anything. Like, I'll never really criticise someone for shooting unless it's a really, really easy pass. But Greg, wrap us up on the Arbroath game. What was your overall thoughts? Encouraging? Looking forward to the weekend?
I think it's always encouraging when you get a win. To be honest, I think we've seen it on this podcast, the sort of trends that happen after the other win.
Yeah.
Like we're going to melt the team we're playing next into orbit. I think most importantly, the performance was there, and look, we're still creating chances. Ultimately, we maybe haven't scored as many as we would hope in the last few weeks, but we are creating those chances. I think I'd be more concerned if we weren't creating chances. And just a shout out to Sean Maloney for biting back at Kenny McIntyre yesterday when he asked a very silly question. When he asked, did he think Hibs could get back into the game? And Sean Maloney replied, well, it was 6 minutes in, Kenny.
I didn't know that.
I haven't really seen that side of Maloney. But
I think Maloney's been quite nippy. I think he's been quite nippy with the press.
The obvious.
I think he's been quite nippy. And I know I mentioned it. People have been really critical of Sean Maloney and some of his post-match press. If we're winning, people are lapping up what he's saying.
I'll tell you what, Chris Boyd was at it the other day. The phrases he comes up with. But see, to be honest, Chris Boyd's a fucking Ned that is lucky to get a job on Sky Sports every week. Sean Maloney's a distinguished coach with a good career. He's won a lot of things as a player. He's a winner. He's done well in his management career, but Chris Boyd says that the way he talks isn't what he wants to see. But
that's because he went on his Sky Sports and fucking embarrassed Boyd. That's why
he's on a panel with Merce and all that. So I'm not really going to take too much in what Chris Boyd says.
Anyway, see on Maloney, just quickly on Maloney before we wrap up on the Maloney thing. I just think part of him biting back is he's had a pretty rough ride. I think the last few weeks with Kenny McIntyre and the Sports Sound Brigade. And I think he's well within his rights to snap back, because McIntyre and others have cited the last couple of times.
McLaughlin had a pop at him after the derby.
McLaughlin had a pop at him after the derby about the shots on target. Like all that kind of, they're all having a wee dig at him, and all he's doing there is just setting his stall out with these cunts to say, I can give it back. And that's exactly how you need to treat these guys in the media, because Kenny McIntyre's been peddling a narrative that Sean Maloney's under huge pressure. He said that the other day. It's like, of course he's under pressure. Every manager in Scotland who loses a few games is going to be under pressure. It's true of every single one of them. But they've really focused in on Hibs. And the other thing I'll just say very quickly, everybody in their dug wanted us to lose that game yesterday.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody in their dug wanted.
Cliff Pike tweeted about it, and it was just absolutely spot on.
Right.
Hibs were really,
they'll need to look for a cup upset elsewhere.
And they'll need to watch the game tonight. And I think you maybe mentioned the 4 o'clock game for it.
She'd be honest as well, right? And all the times I've been going to Hibs games, Maloney stands in his technical area, no matter what the weather, and it's there the full 90 minutes. We've seen it Dundee United, the rain was fucking lashing down, and he was out there for 90 minutes talking to players, guiding them through things. Are you telling me that Kenny McIntyre is going to have a pop of that because to be quite honest, Kenny McIntyre had a pop at Neil Lennon and then Jack Ross pulled him up as well. So Kenny McIntyre does things and says silly shit to get a reaction. But in actual fact, what Kenny McIntyre knows about football, you could easily write in the back of a postage stamp.
Well, I know we don't want to get into this too much, but I think, like you say, Jack Ross did have a pop at him once. Was it the St Johnstone game? And
It was after one semi-final.
The media. Jack Ross got an easy ride in the media. The narrative when Hibs sacked Jack Ross was that he was extremely harshly done by. When Maloney called out Jack Ross for highlighting that Hibs should let Martin Boyle go, there was no criticism of Jack Ross. It was criticism of Sean Maloney, and I think probably the media haven't warmed to Maloney as much as possible, probably because he does use words they're not used to hearing, probably because he does speak a little bit different, probably because he's fucking smarter than a lot of them. Like,
but the reason that the media didn't ever dug out Jack Ross is because of the way he spoke.
Yeah, because
he would speak in such a calm tone and say silly things that the media could get on board with. He was very PR driven. I think Liam picked up on it once. It might not resonate with the Hibs fans, but it would get my job at the SFA. And it's so true because he was speaking like that, and that was the narrative he was riding. Mm-hmm. And do you know what? The media love that, and losers like Kenny McIntyre that have ended up as a host of a shitey show with Craig Levine means absolutely nothing to me. Like,
right. Before let's wrap up this cup, but the draw is going to be in 3-4 hours after the Dundee Peterhead game. Any preference for who you want? I'm going to be honest. Anyone except Hearts, please. I hate getting Hearts.
Peterhead at home.
Shitest team at home.
So Hibs at home then.
Hibs.
I honestly don't care who we get, to be honest.
Am I right in saying if Dundee win the night, it's 8 Premiership teams that are left?
Yeah. See for me, I just hope that without looking too far in the future, that this really drives us on. And it will come on the weekend, but I really hope it gives us a platform. So I think it has been coming the way that Henderson was talking.
Take us into the Ross County game.
Can I just quickly say on the draw? Right, I were all over the shop tonight. Yeah, we got Harry directing the ship.
Until Ewan's in a rush tonight, you just that point's ticked off.
That's done.
Someone's got Valentine's Day plans. That's all I'm saying. There is a potential in the draw for a Glasgow derby, an Edinburgh derby, and a Dundee derby, which would be quite interesting. But I must say, I would want to avoid that like the fucking plague. No money spinning ties for us. I think Peterhead at home. That's all I'd say.
Sounds good to me. Greg, you talk about a platform, Ross County. It's not going to be easy, is it? They beat us in December. They're in decent form themselves.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think they've really found a bit of form. Regan Charles Cook has played a massive part of that, let's be honest. He's scoring goals for fun. He's a danger man. However, the way we played yesterday was very, very encouraging, and I don't want to lose my shit over beating a part-time team. But it's a part-time team who are very much in form in a very, very difficult league.
Well, if you're referencing them as the 13th best team in Scotland.
Well, ultimately they are. I mean, where we've seen so-called bigger teams struggle in that league. So I think that it was a tricky place to go. But the way that Henderson spoke after the game is that they're a confident bunch, and they know it's not been good enough. But I really think that this could drive us on. I think that we've maybe been needing a result where it builds character and confidence. And for me, we need to get back to East Road on Saturday and play the same way. To be honest, I don't think that much should change. We should still be direct. We should still have that desire and that confidence on the ball. I think Stevenson should still be playing centre mid, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
They will look to try and make it a battle. I don't think they'll be too keen on sitting in as much. Ultimately, they will be looking to hit on the counter, but you won't find that they will park the bus. So for me, I think they'll be looking to make it a battle. We need to try and show our quality and shine through them, be confident on the ball.
Yeah. Same 11?
I would say so. Same 11 that started other than the goalie.
Liam, same 11 for you?
I think the only change potentially is if Joe Neal's fit. I know him and Hanlon are maybe not too far away. I think Joe Neal and Paul Hanlon could maybe come back in for me. But other than that, yeah, say 11.
Yeah, I think that we maybe speak about it last night in the chat after the game. For me, I would be looking at Joe Neal and Paul Hanlon as players I would expect to play, but I would be loathed. I feel like if one of they two come in, you're dropping Lewis Stevenson, and nah. Like, I don't think that would be the right thing to do necessarily. I don't think you should change a winning team. I know that you say there, Greg, it was against Arbroath and stuff, but I think we've spoke long enough under Maloney. We have made a lot of changes. I think this weekend's a chance to not make a change. Like we came away for the game with no injuries by the looks of it. We played well. We've been needing to score goals. We scored goals. We created chances. So hopefully the players have a little bit of confidence and they can kick on and do it. And I think if Joe Newell, if Paul Hanlon are fit, then put them on the bench. Like put them on the bench. That in its turn that makes the bench look a little bit stronger as well. I think it'd be extremely harsh to drop anyone. I thought Jasper and Mitchell were pretty good in the first half. Second half, maybe not so much. But no, I think they've done more than enough to keep their place in the starting 11. Liam, what do you expect from Ross County? I said just there, they're in decent form. They've won one of their last four, but they've drew with Aberdeen, they've drew with Rangers, and drew with Livy. Another one was a win. They seem to be a team on the up.
Certainly from where they were at the beginning of the season. I mean, we watched them the start of the season against Stevenson. And we played them off the park and basically got the stars out for the second half. They've come a long way since then. They've obviously recruited quite a number of players. I think, maybe sticks in the throat a wee bit, but you probably have to give Malky Mackay some credit for the work he's done with the existing players as well. Charles Cook being key is one of them that he's improved, but there's other guys there as well who've kind of been, I suppose, sort of typically kind of what you would describe as maybe solid pros throughout their career and done okay. Seems to have turned Blair Spittle into a slightly different player from the one he was. I understand he's kind of playing deep now rather than playing as sort of an advanced player on the wing. So I think you do have to give them some credit. I think they're a battling team as well. I think Hungbo and Charles Cook are really the main threats. I think if we can keep those two quiet, then it should be an easier day at the office for us. But they are still in a relegation fight, so they are going to come fighting, and we're going to have to be prepared to match them for effort.
Yeah. Liam, something I know I'm going back to the Arbroath game here, but I'm going to tie it in. The derby atmosphere was really good at Easter Road. The game since then at St Mirren, not so much. Harry asked me what the atmosphere was like at Ibrox. I take it the atmosphere yesterday was really good. Do you feel like we are just maybe a goal early in a game, couple of goals early in a game from really getting the full crowd at Easter Road behind this team and going somewhere, starting to move forward under Maloney?
I think we as football fans always like to think our kind of home sport's very different from other teams. I think the reality is that they're all relatively similar. We're all quite impatient. We all want things to happen now, and we typically, most of us need some sort of backing. Typically we need some sort of goal or some incentive to give them a backing. I can please for different, but I know that won't change anything. So I think my thing would be just be a wee bit more patient. Like if it is 0-0 going at half time, like we've demonstrated that in the second half of that game, we can still find a way to score goals. I do think we're going to have to get a goal though, to get the kind of fans on side and get the atmosphere going and get people behind the players. But the players have shown they're capable of doing that, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was on here. When did we record last? Thursday. And I was fucking miserable.
You were miserable.
Do you know? And I didn't wake up on Sunday morning thinking I really wanted to go to the game. I didn't. And and after watching the first 5 minutes, I thought, here we go again. But I really enjoyed watching at the weekend. I did, and it's for whatever reason I'm now really looking forward to getting back to Easter Road. I don't know if it was just the fact we'd went Saturday, Wednesday, or whatever it was. Like, I'm now desperate to get back to Easter Road and really hoping to see the team kick on. Look, we are in the league. What are we, 7th? But you at this stage with how compact the league is, you're 7th, but you're 2 points off 4th. Like, go and win the game. See how the results go. There's still plenty of opportunity to finish in the top 4 this season. Definitely opportunity to finish in the top 6. Greg, just on the back of that cup game back to league action, are you confident in the rest of this season that it will start to turn, and we have turned a little bit of corner and we'll push up the table?
I think we are going to give someone a serious doing. I think we have, although we've been getting maybe not the results we've been after, we have been creating chances. It's just maybe not fallen for us. So I think we're going to give someone a good doing, but also think that things are going to start clicking. I think that we do need to be patient. Like we've said that enough on the podcast. There's no real need to start saying that the manager's under pressure when he's not. You know, it's a ridiculous thing to say. For me, I've got enough confidence in him and the players there at the moment that we can turn it around. I think we will probably see a big turnover in the summer in terms of players, but I think at the moment to get us into the season, ultimately it's not good enough just to survive the end of the season. But I don't think we'll do that. I think we will start striving towards 4th, 5th, whatever. But I think we will comfortably finish in the top 6. And I think ultimately for this season, as disappointing as it is, that is probably all we can really ask for.
Yeah. Right. Score prediction for the weekend then, Greg. Ross County at home.
2-0, I think we'll continue creating chances. But I hope we keep a clean sheet as well. We definitely could do it one of them.
No worries. Liam?
I think it's going to be difficult, but I do think we'll break them down in the end. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Hibs. I think they will score a goal. I think they've got players in the final third who will ultimately take one of their chances. But I do think we'll be 2-1. But I think it'll be a good. We'll see a continuation of that kind of performance on Sunday and a good performance at home. The fans behind us. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to East Road on Saturday. I'm going to say, I think it could be. I've got a feeling this is going to be a really good game. I think Ross County are going to come and try and play. I think it'll be 4-2 Hibs. I think this could be quite a high scoring game. I think Ross County have been involved in some fairly high scoring games this season. I'm not convinced that. I think I agree with Greg. I think last week I was torn on, are we actually quite shite or are we playing all right and going to pump someone? You know, and Saturday's definitely verged me more to, yeah, there is a chance that we could really take a few off a team. Why not this weekend? I'll say 4-2 to the High Bees. Anyone want to put their neck out there with a goal scorer? Or a High Bee of the week, if we like.
I reckon
Mueller.
I reckon Nisbet's going to. He's now got that sort of duck off his back where he's not scored for a while, looking for confidence. So I think he'll pop up with 1 or even 2 at the weekend.
Yeah, I fancy Nisbet for a double, I think.
I say Mueller and Nisbet. I'm going to say Mueller and Nisbet, not deviate too far from the pack. I do think Nisbet's one of those confident strict centre forwards. I know obviously scored against Cove and it didn't really fall after that, but I don't know. This game just feels different. The circumstances feel different. We didn't labour to this win. Like we won it. We won it quite comfortably. So I think Nisbet and I think Chris Mueller as well. I'm not convinced he's as much of a confidence player, but I just think he looks like he's, as Greg said earlier, he gets into a lot of the right positions.
Winning goal off the bench.
No, I think he'll start
in place of.
Don't know what I said earlier on. He wouldn't start, didn't I? Contradicting myself.
I'm going to go for a Nisbet double, and I think Mitchell might score again. I think he's going to keep getting in at the back post, and fuck it, Chris Cadden. He's probably had about 40 shots since he scored at Dundee United. So, Chris Cadden for me. Right, lads. Well, it's probably the first week in a while where we've only done one episode in a week. So, free week for the Highbees. Saturday at home. We'll be back next week.
Overtime, yeah, rubbish this.
Right.
How am I going to fund that Valentine's Day present? There you go.
Fuck's sake. Right. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Cheers.
Night.
Good night. God bless.